On March 14th, 2026, an American Airlines flight from Barbados was on final approach into Philadelphia International Airport. The pilot, a commercial aviator with thousands of hours in the air, had seen a lot of things from the cockpit. What she hadn't seen until that evening was a black disc zip over her aircraft at 1,300 feet. She got on with air traffic control immediately. You could hear it in the recording. The confusion in her voice is real. That same week, NASA's Perseverance rover sent back data from an ancient Martian riverbed that stopped researchers cold. Nickel concentrations in the rock, higher than anything ever detected in Martian bedrock, co-located with organic matter in an arrangement that, on Earth, is most exclusively produced by one thing: living microbes. And a separate team published findings showing when Martian dust storms hit, even small localized ones, they blast water vapor 10 times its normal concentration into the upper atmosphere, where solar radiation splits it apart and the hydrogen bleeds into space forever. Mars had water. Mars had the chemistry for life. And something, over billions of years, storm by storm, ripped it all away. And on April 1st, 2026, for the first time since Apollo 17 in 1972, human beings left the Earth's orbit. 4 astronauts aboard NASA's Artemis II mission fired a translunar injection burn and headed for the moon. And before the engines even cut off, the conspiracy community had already decided what it meant. A pilot reporting a flying disc over one of the busiest airports in the country, a dead planet that may have once been alive, and humanity's first return to deep space, watched by millions of people who are absolutely certain we've never actually left. And welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole.
Imagine that this line represents time. Present 1985. Future. Past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate to you, me, and Einstein. But reality for everyone else.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jeremy Sosha, and you're listening to Infinite Rabbit Hole, your briefing on the unexplained. Tonight, I am joined by my co-host, Jake, and we have, once again, a packed episode for you to enjoy. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people find the show. And you can find us on infiniterabbithole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We're getting really close to some big milestones, and every single subscriber counts and helps. Before we jump in, quick reminder, on Saturday, May 9th, I'll be at CapCon, the Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin at the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. I'll be on the UFO, UAP, and CE5 discussion panel alongside the likes of Ian DeGraff, Zach Screed, and Dustin Schuda, with Jeff Finup as our host. Use code RABBITHOLE at checkout for 10% off your tickets. Link is in our recent social posts. Before we start up with the quick hits, Jake, what's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I finally fixed my riding lawnmower just in time to get a bunch of rain and then the ground to start sprouting all kinds of green stuff out of it. So that was good. And, you know, it's funny. We were chatting right before the show. I didn't even know that we were talking about NASA. I mean, I didn't read his script. I had a feeling maybe because of the April Fool's Day launch, but I went ahead and I wore my Lies shirt, so it's perfect for this episode. I just like how Jeremy and I tend to think alike, so it's good.
Well, there's only so much that happens in the world of stuff that we cover on Infinite Rabbit Hole, so you had a pretty good shot at being correct.
And I was, because I'm amazing.
Mm-hmm. I won't say that, but sure.
Yeah, no, you agree.
Anyways, you ready to just jump right in today? Because
dude, let's just jump right in today.
Cool. We're short somebody, CJ.
Yeah,
he has a house full of sick people, so he's tending to that, and we wish them all
left us to die again.
We wish them all a speedy recovery, so we can get our dude back, and so that they can be healthy. Let's not forget that.
Yes, that too.
All right. Well, before we get into our main stories tonight, let's run through quick hits, our rapid roundup of the stories from the last 10 days that deserve your attention, even if we don't have time to go deep on them. Let's go. On March 14th, an American Airlines flight from Barbados was on final approach into Philadelphia International Airport. As the aircraft came in at 1,300 feet, the pilot got on with air traffic control and reported in her own words, quote, "There was some sort of flying disc that just went over us at about 1,300 feet. The recording is out there. The confusion in her voice is not performed. She described a mysterious black disc that zipped over the aircraft. It did not resemble a drone. It did not resemble a balloon, and she had no explanation for it, as she said so in real time to air traffic control. This is a commercial pilot on a controlled approach into one of the busiest airports on the East Coast, reporting a flying saucer on tape." All right, moving on. 2 separate witnesses driving in South Carolina reported a large bipedal hair-covered figure crossing the highway in front of their vehicles. The encounters happened on the same route, days apart. Neither witness knew about the other sighting at the time. Look, we'll give this the appropriate skeptical caveat. It's 2 people who saw something large and dark cross the road. It could be a bear. It could be a person in a bad situation. But 2 independent witnesses, same stretch of highway, same description, 48 hours apart. That's at least worth 30 seconds of your attention. Moving on. Researchers announced the discovery of ancient cave paintings in northern Australia depicting both the Tasmanian tiger and the Tasmanian devil, animals that have not lived on the Australian mainland for thousands of years. The paintings push back the timeline of human coexistence with both species and suggest the animal's range was far broader than previously understood. The Tasmanian tiger, of course, is officially extinct since 1936. Officially, that is. There are active de-extinction programs working on that right now, though. Finding paintings of it on the Australian mainland is a reminder that this animal lived alongside humans for a very long time, and that its disappearance is more recent than it feels. Moving on. Physicists at New York University have created a new type of time crystal, one that levitates on a cushion of sound waves and interacts in a way that appears to violate Newton's third law of motion, that being for every action, an equal and opposite reaction. That's one of the foundational rules of physics. These particles don't follow it. The device fits in your hand. It's made of styrofoam beads. You can see it with the naked eye, and it does something that classical physics says shouldn't be possible. Published in Physical Review Letters on March 22nd. Time crystals that defy Newton, made of packing materials, in a device you can hold? Well, this is 2026, all right. Moving on. Researchers at the Shenzhen International Quantum Academy have demonstrated the first silicone-based quantum computer capable of performing full logical operations with built-in error detection. Published in Nature Nanotechnology on March 23rd. Why does this matter? Well, silicone is what your phone and laptop are made of. Every quantum computer before this has used exotic materials that are extremely difficult to manufacture at scale. This team embedded phosphorus atoms into silicone with atomic precision and ran a real quantum algorithm calculating the ground state energy of a water molecule. The result matched theoretical predictions. The path to a quantum computer you can actually manufacture in volume just got significantly shorter. Jake, a pilot, reporting a flying disc over Philadelphia on tape. Bigfoot on a South Carolina highway. Cave paintings of animals that shouldn't be on the Australian mainland. Levitating crystals that break Newton's third law in a silicone quantum computer. That actually works. That's just the quick hits. What's sitting with you going into the main stories?
Sorry, I was just looking into this time crystal thing. I finally got to an article in Newsweek. Had to push through a bunch of ads to get there, but I'm looking at
Share
it.
the screen, man.
I mean, let me close this other ad and this ad. Okay.
Newsweek does have a lot of it.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I didn't say that.
Yeah, you would never.
I have the most upright respect for Newsweek.
That one. Trying to figure this out. I forget every single time. So that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Floating. And there's sound waves, and they go like that. I imagine something like that. Or it's screaming. I don't know, but that's the thing. I don't understand why it's called a time crystal, though.
I was really debating on making this one of the briefings and going deeper on it. Maybe I should have.
Well, never mind. It says, in contrast, time crystals are those that are organized into a repeating pattern over the dimension of time, forming a quantum system of particles that move back and forth in repeating cycles.
Yes.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. This was theoretical until it was proven, actually just recently. So pretty cool. We're making
that's what that looks like. That right there.
We're
There it
making
is.
leaps in quantum studies. It's pretty crazy what we're finding out, and that's why I always try to include something, because it feels like every single week there's something big being discovered in the world of quantum physics or another theoretical or once was theoretical quantum studies. That's it. That's all you want to talk about? That's fine.
Yeah, that was it. Sorry, that's what got my interest. But as far as the pilot one goes, I mean, that's what happens when you have DEI. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's fucked up,
and
man.
canceled.
And canceled. Everybody sees UFOs, sir. Everybody.
I know.
All right. Well, fine. We'll just get straight into the briefings then. See, this is what happens when we don't have CJ. We don't have this back and forth. You know, it's just Jake. You got to carry the whole show, man.
Well, I'll work on it.
Yeah, you better. All right. Let's get into our first briefing. 11 days from the day of this recording, on April 14th, 2026, the Pentagon faces a congressional deadline. Deliver 46 specific classified UAP videos to the House Oversight Committee's task force on the declassification of federal secrets, or don't, and let everyone watch what happens next. This is not a fishing expedition, nor is it a general request for, quote, everything you have on UFOs. This is a specific list. 46 specific video files, named, dated, located, described, a signed letter by Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, chair of the task force, addressed directly to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, delivered March 31st, deadline of April 14th. Let me tell you what's on that list, because the specific footage being requested is not vague. There's a 2022 recording of a 4 UAP formation over Iran, a 2021 clip of a UAP making an instant acceleration in Syrian airspace, the kind of acceleration that has no conventional explanation, footage from a 5th-generation fighter aircraft, a 2023 recording of an Air National Guard F-16 shooting down a UAP over Lake Huron with an AIM-9X missile, an engagement that was publicly acknowledged and covered on this show at the time but never officially explained. Multiple recordings of spherical objects diving in and out of water near a U.S. submarine, Persian Gulf footage from 2020 tracked by MQ-9 Reaper drones, and a massive disc photographed moving through clouds over the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. These are military recordings shot by 5th-generation fighters, surveillance drones, Coast Guard aircraft, and naval assets. And according to whistleblowers who testified before the task force in September 2025, AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the Pentagon's official UAP investigative body, has had them the entire time. Luna's letter does not mince words. The task force has found AARO's response, quote, less than adequate. The presence of UAPs in and around the sensitive airspaces of U.S. military installations, she writes, quote, poses a threat to the security of the armed forces and their readiness. This comes from the chair of a House Oversight Task Force, writing to the Secretary of War saying, deliver the footage by Tuesday. Now let's put this in context, because it doesn't exist in a vacuum. As we reported in past episodes, 6 weeks ago, the Pentagon confirmed that AARO's active investigation caseload has exceeded 2,000 reports, up from 1,600 just over a year ago. Cases submitted by military personnel, pilots, and government employees. Objects exhibiting flight characteristics that cannot be explained by known aircraft, drones, or atmospheric phenomena. 2,000 open investigations, and the office hasn't published an annual report in over a year. When Defense Scoop asked AARO why, the spokesperson said, quote, we have nothing to announce at this time. That answer is becoming harder to sustain, because while AARO has been quiet, the pressure from every other direction has been building. President Trump issued a directive in February ordering the release of all government files related to UAPs and extraterrestrial life. The White House registered alien.gov and aliens.gov in March. The ODNI confirmed publicly that files will soon be declassified. And now Congress has given the Pentagon a specific list and a specific date. What happens on April 14th matters. If the Pentagon delivers, even partially, It would be the most significant release of classified UFO footage in history. If it doesn't, the task force will have to decide what to do next, and that decision will be very public. Either way, something happens on April 14th, and we'll be watching so that we can keep you updated. Jake, 46 specific videos, a congressional deadline 11 days away, a Pentagon office that hasn't published a report in over a year, and a list that includes an F-16 shooting down a UAP over Lake Huron. Where does your head go in this one?
Actually, while you're talking, I pulled up the dish shape one that was between the, what'd you say, Afghanistan and Pakistan border in 2020. And I pulled up NBC News, and they have they showed the video, and then they had Jeremy Corbell. He's talking about it and stuff, sitting at the desk with this news broadcaster. And so I'm definitely gonna have to go back when we're not doing this and listen to what he's saying. But yeah, I'm gonna have to check these out, man. I didn't even know. Nothing came up on the news about it. Almost like it's a conspiracy.
Oh man. A lot of conspiracy.
At least as far as Apple News goes. Also, it's possible that I wasn't paying attention.
That's the case, everybody. He just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
It's springtime in Wisconsin. There's tons of shit to do right now, man. I get it.
Dude, no. Winter is still here. We had freezing rain yesterday.
Dude, it froze the trees.
It did. I was out in the garage working on the lawnmower, and the tree above my truck released all of its ice, and it went straight onto the windshield, and I just watched it. And I was like, geez. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. But no, we're still supposed to get a few more days of snow and stuff. Supposed to, so we'll see. But no, I don't know. I didn't even realize this stuff came out. So I'm definitely gonna have to go back and check it out. That's pretty crazy. I really want to see the footage of this one being shot down over Lake Huron, because that's here in the United States, right?
Yeah, that was. Do you remember that one?
No.
That one was shortly after that Chinese spy balloon came across the United States, and we finally shot it down over South Carolina. It literally went through a diagonal path from northwest, pretty much all the way down to South Carolina before we shot it down. Do you remember that?
I remember the spy balloon, yeah.
So after the spy balloon, there was a couple instances of UFOs just popping up, and it was very public news for a couple days. The biggest one, I would say, out of all of that was the one that got shot down over Lake Huron. And I want to say that we had Phantom Phil on that episode, and he jumped in the conversation because Huron kind of, it's one of the Great Lakes that separates United States and Canada, and he's Canadian, so we had him on, and we talked a little bit about that. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. It's been a while. But I'll tell you one thing, just to change up that subject just slightly. One of my dream interviews would be to have Luna on, Anna Paulina Luna. Dude, I want to talk to her so bad and pick her brain about this task force stuff. And if anybody's got the hookup, send her our way. We would love to pick her brain on this stuff, because I've seen some interviews with her, and they're interesting, right? But they fall short of asking the right questions. And it might be edited that way, where she probably can't answer certain questions, which I completely understand. But hell, if I wouldn't try. Oh man, I have so many things I would love to pick her brain about.
Sorry, I'm watching the video of the thing getting shot down.
Yeah, well, too late, man.
I mean, they friggin' hit it.
They did. Well, why don't you play it for everybody, man? Come on, share that screen.
I mean,
just
I can't play the audio, but yeah,
give props to whatever source you're pulling it from. That way, we don't get in trouble. Just be like, hey, this is from this YouTube channel. What YouTube channel is it? Let us know.
Click on Detroit Local 4.
There you go.
So you can see this guy flying, and then boom,
yep, there it is. That's it.
It's falling down right there. So jet continues, and it was falling down.
And they recovered it too. They recovered it out of the waters of Lake Huron. And then there was another one in northern Canada and Northern Territories that was shot down too by American craft in Canada. That was pretty big. And there was another one too. I can't remember where the third one went. Where I don't think they shot it down, but they attempted to and they missed. But yeah, crazy stuff, man. And apparently there's some awesome video of this particular one and a couple others that Congress feels needs to be released. And I can't wait. I'm here for it, man. April
Like
14th.
close-up FLIR footage, not just camera recording from the ground.
I mean, whatever it is, it's got to be better than that. And just the ground footage from that is really cool.
No, it certainly is. But yeah, I would definitely like to see FLIR footage, like seeing what the heat signatures are and things like that. Them locking on and taking it out.
That'd be great. Be working great.
So, where my brain goes with this.
Well, let me ask you, do you think we're going to get something meaningful on April 14th? Just knowing the government be what you know it to be.
I don't know. It seems like we're in the age of disclosure. It wouldn't surprise me nowadays. I mean, I know when we first started talking about this a month or two ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I was like, there's no way we're going to get completely blindsided, or not blindsided. We're going to get completely just fed a load of BS and not get anything. But I mean, it seems to be like we're getting, like we're probably going to get something. I don't think it's going to be like, yeah, there's aliens in the White House and here they are, but or demons in the White House and here they are. But
he said it, everybody.
What's that?
He said it.
I said it. But I mean, shoot, we're gonna get some really cool footage, a lot to talk about and stuff. I mean, something getting shot down like that really kind of strikes me weird because I mean, for a while there, it's been, I'm not afraid of saying that I was wrong or misinformed. I'm not. So don't give me that look. But it's like at first it was okay, all of these things are of the demonic, right? But then we started getting sonar readings off of the underwater ones, right? And you can't have sonar against spiritual objects, right? They have to be physical objects in order to get those waves bounce back. And now we have planes shooting them out of the sky. So unless it's just an elaborate ruse, there definitely seems to be a lot of physical objects out there, which I don't know. It could be both. It could be, our attempt to create a technology that is, I mean, our as in humanity's attempt to create technology that represents other objects that aren't in a more physical nature, based off of information we're getting from elsewhere. What's the one? Like if we had communication with interdimensional beings and they were teaching us how to mostly replicate their tech or their ability to move around and stuff, but in a physical form like what we have at our disposal because we can't, turn invisible and then just propel ourselves into the sky, right? Or anything like that, right?
I mean, that we know of. I mean, we went from the Model T to drones on Mars in 100 years.
Well, yeah, that's true. So I don't know, but yeah, so there's certainly some physical element to it. And the question would be like this one that was shot down over Lake Huron. Was that more like a balloon? Was that more like a flying saucer? Was that more like, I'm sure we'll see with the video when it comes out of what exactly it was because you can't really see from the sky, or from the ground, you just see something exploded, right? So
there are multiple videos of this, which you might not have actually been with the show when this happened. That's probably why you don't remember it very much. But I want to say that one was an orb. It was a daylight. It was unique because orbs are typically spotted during nights or nighttime. And it was a daylight sighting of an orb, which isn't unheard of. It's just more common, way more common to see them at night.
So what you're saying is it could have been another weather balloon.
It could have. Absolutely could have been. But if it was, you would think that they would just be like, yeah, okay, here's video footage of us picking up a weather balloon out of the waters of Lake Huron. Because if they do it now, it just looks staged. It's too late, right? They've had all the time in the world to doctor up a bootleg video and feed it to us. If they don't show us something legitimate, it looks fake. And
right.
Honestly, they could show us anything. And when you wait this long, the skeptical people become more skeptical. And the more they're going to nitpick every single aspect of whatever evidence is presented to us. And it's not going to pass the sniff test for pretty much any skeptic out there whatsoever. I mean, there's going to be those people that will eat anything out of the government's hands and accept it for, whatever they tell you it is, even if it's dog shit. But for anybody with a skeptic bone in their body, it's just it doesn't matter what they present to us now. This is years old now. Why it just doesn't sit well. I mean, I don't have a huge skeptic bone, but at the same time, this one, because it's been so long, I mean, all of these videos, I mean, yeah, it's cool that we're going to get them, but at the same time, why are we waiting so long? It just lends to the idea that you're doctoring up everything before you give it out to the public. It's like redaction.
Yeah, I can understand that. I understand the sentiment behind that. And I'm certainly far from a bootlicker. I'm definitely not going to take everything especially now in the freaking age of AI. It's going to be kind of hard for me to look at all these videos and be like, oh, that's 100% real. That it's not just a bunch of nonsense, right?
Dude.
But
it's so
at
funny.
the same time, what's up?
It's so funny that you bring that up because I was just talking to somebody at work today, right? We just got on the conversation of AI in the lunchroom and alien disclosure. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be difficult to be able to spot, what's real, what's not. And a lot of people are going to need to see this thing or whatever it is in person if they ever are going to convince themselves that whatever they're being shown is real. Right? You're going to need it. Sight isn't only going to be enough anymore. It's got to be something that you're within the presence of, physically touching it, smelling it, licking it, hearing it.
Licking it.
Yeah, man. If it looks like it, if it looks like
it.
If it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck and tastes like a duck, it's probably an alien.
From the inside.
What's
that cloaca smell like, alien boy?
What's that cloaca smell like? Oh, rough. Hopefully the people listening this week have a sense of humor.
So what'd your coworker say?
Well, he's like, well, what do you think? Don't you think it'll just be easy to tell? Like it'll just have 6 fingers? And I'll be like, yeah, but what if that's normal for aliens, man? What if it's normal? What if it's like, that's what a typical alien hand looks like? It looks like a fudged up AI hand that's got like 7 fingers and one coming out of its elbow. And he's like, good point. I was like, it's called alien because it's unknown to us, right? So
yeah.
I mean, this is the golden opportunity for the government to create something with AI and just be like, yeah, that's normal, man. That's it. That's what you get. It looks like shit, but that's it. Gotta love it.
I mean, how do we know? I mean, because I'm like looking in your background right now, and you got that Kelly Green man that I made for you, and then that gray alien sitting right there in the corner. So as far as we know, there's many different examples of what an alien could look like, right?
Yeah. Very
so
true.
It's like, who's to say, Or they're beings here on Earth. They're just goblins, apparently. Green, bulletproof goblins. Yeah, no, I don't know. It definitely remains to be seen. I'm certainly hopeful. I mean, I'm not 100% black-pilled or jaded or going to buy into the idea that the government only exists to piss people off as much as they do. But
they do a good job at it.
I'll remain hopeful. I certainly am not going to hold my breath on anything crazy. Nothing's going to be earth-shattering or view-changing for me. But shoot, I want to see some cool UAP videos and things like that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's as good as it's going to get because in no circumstance are they going to be like, oh yeah, you see all these triangle-shaped ones? Well, here's the Tier 3B we've been working on for the last 20 years. Oh, weird.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. They're so desperate to get everybody's attention away from other aspects of life right now, like the war, right, in Iran. It's being nitpicked right now by multiple. I can't even use the word multiple because it's almost infinite sources is just nitpicking the shit out of this from all different angles, and it feels like to me. It feels like the government is desperate to get something else out there to kind of get off their asses. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get some pretty cool UFO or alien information as sort of like a, give a dog a bone kind of thing. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely see. It's
Well,
interesting. It's cool.
well,
But
we are 30 minutes in, and we're already ready for briefing 2.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're doing great tonight. You ready?
Yep, I'm
All
ready.
right. Second briefing tonight. 2 stories published this week, 2 different teams, 2 different instruments, both looking at Mars, both arriving at the same uncomfortable place. Let's start with the rocks. NASA's Perseverance rover has been exploring a region of Mars called Neretva Valley, an ancient river channel that once carried water into Jezero Crater, a lake that existed on Mars more than 3 billion years ago. In 2024, the rover began analyzing the sedimentary rocks lining that ancient riverbed. What it found was published this week in Nature Communications. Nickel, concentrated nickel, in 32 separate rock targets at levels up to 1.1% by weight. The highest nickel concentrations ever detected in Martian bedrock. And not just nickel in isolation. Nickel co-located with iron sulfides in organic matter in an arrangement that looked very specific to anyone who studies early Earth geology. Here's why that matters. Nickel is not typically found at the surface of a planet. Most of the planet's nickel is in its core. When you find high nickel concentrations in surface sedimentary rock, you need an explanation. On Earth, that explanation in rocks of the same age and chemical composition is almost always the same. Anaerobic microbes, specifically microbes that use a metabolic pathway called Wood-Jungdahl pathway, one of the oldest known metabolic processes on Earth, which requires nickel to function. The researchers are careful. They are not saying life existed on Mars. What they are saying is that the chemistry in these rocks, the nickel concentrations, the iron sulfides, the co-location with organic matter is, quote, an intriguing hint of past organic-driven redox processes in the same rocks, in an ancient riverbed on a planet that once had liquid water. They also note something that makes the stakes even higher. Congress recently approved the Trump administration's plan to cancel the Mars sample return mission, the program that would have brought these rocks back to Earth for analysis in laboratories where we could actually answer the question. The samples Perseverance collected from Neretva Valley are sitting in sealed tubes on the Martian surface, and right now, there is no funded mission to retrieve them. So, we may have found the chemical signature of ancient Martian life, and we just canceled the program that would have let us know for certain. Now let's talk about what happened to the water. The second study, published in Communications, Earth and Environment on March 27th, looked at a dust storm that occurred on Mars in 2022 and 2023, not a global storm, a localized regional event over the northern hemisphere, the kind of storm that was previously thought to have minimal impact on Mars' long-term water loss. What the researchers found rewrote the assumption entirely. Using data from the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and the Emirates Mars Mission's HOPE probe, the team tracked what happened to water vapor during the storm. The dust absorbed solar radiation, heated the atmosphere, and drove deep convection, wafting water vapor from the lower atmosphere up into the middle atmosphere at 10 times the normal concentration. At those altitudes, solar radiation does something irreversible. It splits water molecules apart. The oxygen stays. The hydrogen, the lightest element in the universe, reaches the exobase, the boundary where the atmosphere meets space, and escapes and, in turn, is gone forever. Hydrogen at the exobase spiked to 2.5 times normal levels during the storm, and the storm wasn't even a big one. What the study tells us is that Mars didn't lose its water in one catastrophic event. It lost it slowly, relentlessly, storm by storm over billions of years. Every dust storm, even a small one, was a drain, and Mars has a lot of dust storms. The researchers conclude that this mechanism has been, quote, significantly underestimated in our models of Martian climate evolution. So here is where we are. Perseverance found rocks in an ancient Martian riverbed with the chemical signature of microbial life, and a separate team just explained exactly how the water those microbes would have lived in was gradually systematically destroyed. Mars had water. Mars had the chemistry and something. Playing out over billions of years, one dust storm at a time, took it all away. Jake? Nickel biosignatures in a Martian riverbed, a water loss mechanism that's been stripping the planet storm by storm for billions of years, and the sample return mission canceled. What do you make of where we are with Mars right now? Not that I expect a huge reply for this one.
I don't buy it. I think
I figured that was going to be the, yeah.
I don't buy the dust storms removing all the water off of Mars. Mars has been around the same amount of time as the Earth. If that was the case for Mars, it'd be the same case for Earth.
Not necessarily. The science is there. Mars does have a much thinner atmosphere, so things are able to escape a lot easier. Yeah, true.
It does
True.
now.
True. Very true. Very, very true. It does now. But without any evidence of plant life, that atmosphere could have always been thin. It's a good point. It is a good point. It is a good point. But all I'm saying is that the science isn't terrible. It's actually pretty good. I think it's pretty good. That's why I included it, because I thought it was cool.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well,
I'm kind of lost on this this nickel one. I was like looking up sciencealert.com, reading a thing about it, and I'm confused. It says our detection of high nickel abundances directly adjacent to our first discovery of organic carbon and macroscopic zones of reduced sulfur suggests nickel was bioavailable. This further supports the idea that the ingredients for life were present on ancient Mars. I don't understand what any of that just said.
Hold on.
Because nickel is pushed up from the surface, pushed up to the surface from the Earth's core through volcanic activity. I'm not certain what this bioavailability of nickel means, besides just some science jargon that's meant to confuse people and be like, look how smart we are.
So to understand why nickel in a riverbed is exciting, you have to think like a space chemist. Usually when a planet forms, heavy metals like nickel sink to the center, or the core, as I put in the script, right? Finding a high concentration of it in surface rocks is like finding a gold bar in a sandbox. It shouldn't naturally be there unless something moved it, right? Gold is heavy, or actually gold's not that heavy, but it would sift down to the bottom and it would kind of just sit there at the bottom. Well, this is kind of like that. It's like, well, what is this doing at the surface? On Earth, there is a very ancient engine used by some of the first life forms, called microbes, right? Called the Wood-Jungdahl pathway, right? The fuel, these microbes eat carbon dioxide and hydrogen. To make this process work, they need nickel. So it's like a chemical reaction, right? They leave behind a specific chemical trash of nickel, iron, and organic carbon, like feces, sort of, right? Now, the Perseverance rover found that exact trash pile in an ancient Martian river. The concentrations are higher than anything we've seen on Mars before, while the scientists are being professional and calling it an intriguing hint. Well, the subtext is kind of clear. This is exactly what a fossilized microbial colony from 3 billion years ago would actually look like. So that's why it's really interesting. It's more of, basically, it's the scientific way of saying that we found prehistoric microbial shit.
Didn't come from Earth.
That didn't come from Earth.
Through space aids bounce back and forth,
That's right, man. See?
Okay.
Yeah, you get the reference.
Well, so here's the thing, though. If they're gonna, now that they've said, like on the other side of that brief, now that they've said that all of the water gets blown into the atmosphere and dissipated once it gets separated from hydrogen and oxygen, right? Chemically, the bonds disappear and then the hydrogen floats off into the atmosphere. Then when they come out and say, oh, we found water on Mars, I'm going to be like, BS. You said, and I quote, there ain't no water on Mars because all of it gets blown into the atmosphere.
Well, okay, so, all right, to understand how water is created on Mars, you have to think like a cosmic chef, okay? So this time we're going to put on the chef's hat. You don't usually create it from scratch. Instead, you're either releasing it from where it's hidden or recycling it from the atmosphere. We do that all the time here. Okay? We can either thawing out deep freeze with permafrost ground, or something called the oxygen squeeze, right? This is the most sci-fi method, and we've actually already tested the first half of it. Mars's atmosphere is 95% carbon dioxide. I could be wrong on the 95%. It could be plus or minus, right? A little bit. I believe the device on the Perseverance was called MOXIE. And what it does is it pulls the oxygen out of the CO2. So in an atmosphere that's 95% carbon dioxide, it has something that's able to pull oxygen out of the CO2. So all you're left with is carbon. To make water, you take that oxygen and combine it with hydrogen,
Right.
which we brought from Earth, right? So we'd have tanks full of hydrogen. When you burn hydrogen in the presence of oxygen, the smoke it produces is actually pure water, H2O.
Right.
So that's kind of how we discovered the CO2 atmosphere and how we tested that. But that
Well, I'm
happens.
not
But that happens on a natural, a natural level as well. Hydrogen here, I mean, hydrogen is abundant. It's very, very
but
abundant.
not on Mars,
Yeah.
where 95% of it's carbon dioxide. All I'm saying is, look, I'll buy it. I'll buy the dust storm thing. The dust storms swoop up the water, it goes through the atmosphere, it dissipates into space. Fine. That being said, if I buy that, I'm not going to buy later on when they say, "Oh, we found a river or a lake that's free flowing on Mars." Because I'm gonna be like, "You just said."
I don't think we're gonna get that.
Right.
That I
Because
don't
that's
think we're gonna
been the big push, finding water and life on Mars. So they just said that if Mars ever had life,
one
it's
study
dead.
found it. One study found it. Now another study could come out and say, "Oh, look, there's this little Martian dude right here," and
no, that study's a lie.
And he's got 18
because of
fingers
this
because
study.
the AI that created it was shit.
It has 7 fingers. Oh my gosh. No, I just all right. I mean, I'll buy it, but unless they're like, "Oh, we found the rover fell into a cave and we found underground water." In that case, okay, fine. But if it's going to be on the surface, I'm just going to be like, "No."
Stop lying. You're not going to buy anything.
And then they're going to be like, "Oh, well, we found life on Mars." And be like, "With what water?" Sustaining that life on Mars. Right?
Yeah.
Because of the dust storms, you can't. It's impossible.
Literally just sucks the moisture right out of Mars.
Yeah. Life exists for half a second, and then the dust storm sucks the moisture right out of it, and it gets expelled into space, and it's done.
Like,
I don't know.
Gone.
It's right out of it.
All right. 45 minutes in. We're ready for the deep dive. You ready?
Okay.
This is where the lies come in. You excited? I know you're excited. Look how excited you are. Gosh, you're so excited. All right, let's go deep. On April 1st,
let's go deep.
2026 at 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time, the Space Launch System rocket lifted off from Launch Pad 39B, or Bravo, at Kennedy Space Center. 8.8 million pounds of thrust. The ground shook. The sky turned white. And 4 astronauts, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency, left Earth orbit for the first time since Apollo 17 in December 1972, 54 years ago. For most people watching, Artemis II was a moment of genuine awe. The first black astronaut beyond Earth orbit, the first woman, the first Canadian, a crew photograph from inside the Orion capsule showing Earth through the window, small, blue, and possibly beautiful, that NASA posted to Instagram with the caption, quote, "That's us, together, looking back at the astronauts journeying to the moon for all of humanity." And then, well, there's the other community, the one that was watching just as closely and drawing very different conclusions. Dun, dun, dun. I want to spend some time in this community tonight, not to mock it, not to dismiss it, but to actually understand what people believe, why they believe it, and what they are expecting Artemis II to either prove or disprove. Because this mission has activated belief systems that have been building for decades. And the next few days, as the crew approaches the moon, flies around the far side and returns, are going to generate a lot of claims. And you should know what's coming. Let's start with the oldest one. The Apollo moon landings were faked. This is the foundational conspiracy theory of the space age, and it has never gone away. Depending on which poll you look at, somewhere between 6 and 20% of Americans believe the moon landings were staged, filmed on a soundstage directed by Stanley Kubrick, produced by NASA to win the space race against the Soviets. The core claim hasn't changed much since it was first popularized in the 1970s. The Van Allen radiation belt would have killed the astronauts. The flag waved in a vacuum. The photos look too perfect, and no country has successfully returned to the moon since. Which, if you're in this community, raises the question of why. Artemis II does not settle this for believers. It can't, because the framework is unfalsifiable. If NASA brings back stunning footage of the lunar surface, it's CGI. If the crew describes the experience in emotional terms, they're actors. If everything goes exactly to plan, the plan was prearranged. The belief is not contingent on evidence, which means evidence cannot dislodge it. What Artemis II does do for this community is reactivate the question, why now? Why this crew? Why are they really going up there for? And that question leads directly to the second thread, the dark side of the moon, or the far side of the moon, if you will. Now, it's not permanently dark. That's a common misconception. It receives the same amount of sunlight as the near side, but it is permanently facing away from the Earth. We never see it from the ground. And in the conspiracy community, that permanent invisibility has made it one of the most fertile territories for speculation in the entire solar system. The claims range from the fringe to the extremely fringe. Bases built by a space program that doesn't officially exist. Structures visible in photographs that NASA has never explained. Alien installations that were discovered during Apollo and have been classified ever since. The theory that the moon is itself hollow, a position supported in this community by the fact that when Apollo 12 crashed its lunar module into the surface, seismographs recorded the moon ringing like a bell for nearly an hour. That last part is true, by the way. The moon does have unusual seismic properties compared to Earth. Scientists attribute this to its dry, cold, rigid interior. The conspiracy community attributes it to the interior being completely empty. Artemis II will fly around the far side of the moon. The crew will take high-resolution photographs of the lunar surface, including areas never seen directly by human eyes. Those photographs will be published, and within hours of publication, they will be analyzed by thousands of people looking for anomalies, structures, and evidence of anything that shouldn't be there. Some of that analysis will be serious. Some of it will be pattern recognition. The human brain is extraordinarily good at finding faces and structures in random noise, but some of it, historically, has produced genuinely interesting questions that official sources have not fully answered. The community has a long memory for those moments. And then there's the flat Earth angle. Flat Earth belief has grown significantly in the last decade. The community is not monolithic. There are multiple competing models. But the dominant one holds that Earth is a flat disk surrounded by an ice wall, covered by a solid dome called the firmament, and that space travel, as described by NASA, is physically impossible because you cannot penetrate the firmament. The stars are lights embedded in a dome. The moon is a disk, not a sphere. The planets are wandering lights, not physical bodies. In this framework, Artemis II is either entirely staged, footage shot in studio or high-altitude aircraft, or it represents a genuine attempt to reach the firmament, which the crew will encounter and which NASA will then cover up. Some in this community are watching the mission specifically for anomalies in the footage, moments where the curvature of Earth is visible or where the behavior of objects in the spacecraft doesn't match what you'd expect in a vacuum, or where the audio or video cuts out in ways that feel edited. The Earth's curvature, of course, is already visible from the photographs Reed Wiseman posted from the inside of the Orion capsule on day 3 of the mission. The community's response to photographs like these has historically been to note that wide-angle lenses create the appearance of curvature on a flat surface. This is technically true for extreme fisheye lenses. Whether it applies to the Orion capsule window photographs is a question the community will be debating for weeks or years. Now, here's what I want to say about all of this, because I think it's important. The conspiracy community watching Artemis II is also not a monolith. It includes people who are genuinely curious and have been failed by institutions that dismissed their questions without engaging them. It includes people who have watched enough documented government deception in the form of MKUltra, COINTELPRO, the Gulf of Tonkin, Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, to conclude that skepticism of official narratives is not paranoia, but prudence. It includes people who find the official explanations for certain Apollo anomalies unsatisfying, and it includes people who believe things that are demonstrably false and cannot be reached by evidence. All of those people are in the same community, and Artemis II is going to activate all of them simultaneously. What I'd ask you to hold as you watch the coverage over the next few days is this. The existence of conspiracy theories about space does not make space exploration fake, but the existence of documented government deception does make blanket trust in official narratives unwarranted. The honest position is most likely somewhere in the middle. Curious, skeptical, evidence-aware, and willing to follow the data wherever it leads, which is, not coincidentally, exactly what the show tries to do. The crew reaches the moon on April 6th. The far side photographs will be published, the community will analyze them, and whatever they find, or think they find, we'll be covering it. All right, Jake. The first humans beyond Earth orbit in 54 years, a conspiracy community that has been watching every second of the launch, and a far-side flyby happening in 3 days. What are you expecting to come out of this one?
So if you go to nasa.gov/live, you can watch live video from apparently inside of the capsule that they're flying in, the ship or whatever the heck it is. This is not currently live. This is, I zipped it back a little bit so I could see what the heck was going on, because I was just looking at this and I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at right now.
It's
like
definitely CGI.
Digital image of like where it's going, right? But yeah, you can watch the crew, so all the conspiracy theorists can tune in and watch them scratch their butts just like that, and take their phones out and take selfies and pretend to float. So I'll tell you what, I will certainly be watching for anomalies, sea anemones. Yeah, I'll be watching for anomalies because I think it's fake.
Do you?
No, not really.
Oh.
Not this one.
Oh, not this one, huh?
Maybe the ISS, because, I mean, gosh, I can't combat every single video that comes from the International Space Station of people like dropping pens and they like phase through the desk that they're sitting next to and stuff like that.
I love those videos.
They like reach this way and then their hand disappears because they're reaching off the green screen and they come back type stuff. Like, it's just so fake, you know? But for whatever reason, that's the way it looks. I'm not certain about the flat Earth people. Remember when we brought up flat Earth and we were just like, yeah, it doesn't really, bother me too much. And then we just got ripped apart for like a few months with all these flat earthers that were hitting us up. It's a couple of years ago. But yeah, it was with you, me, Jeff. Maybe CJ was there too.
Nope. Declassified Dave.
Declassified Dave?
Yep.
And then we just got absolutely hammered by some folks in the flat Earth community.
Yeah,
I think at one point I even got called like a fake Christian because I didn't believe in the flat Earth because it says so in the Bible. It doesn't say so in the Bible. It says there's a firmament, which there might have been before the flood. Where did all the water come from? From the ground and from the sky, right? But regardless, I mean, I'm interested. I'm not certain how they're going to prove to people that they were on the dark side of the moon, or the other side of the moon, rather.
That's kind of my argument here is a lot of this stuff, man. It doesn't matter what they present. There's going to be people that pick it apart and don't believe it. And
of course.
The real thing is their disbelief is warranted. I mean, we've been lied to about so many things. I mean, if they show us just a unfamiliar lunar surface with different craters than what we typically see, everyone's gonna call bullshit. They're gonna be like, nah, that's bullshit. Or, I mean, if let's say they show us the side of the moon, maybe this is the big alien story. Let's connect these big big time stories, right? Aliens.gov is coming out. Maybe the Trump administration is waiting for they're like, yeah, let's send a ship out there and take photos for these motherfuckers and we'll post it on aliens.gov. Like, we know they're
You're gonna
there.
see the scaffolding on the back of the moon.
Like, who?
Turns out it's a Death Star.
I don't know. I don't get the reference. But
Yeah, Star Trek or something.
Star Trek or something. I get the reference. I just never seen the movies. There's a good question for you, man. What if these two things, like Artemis II and this whole alien disclosure that the Trump administration is really pushing, one and the same thing? Would you believe it?
No.
What if it was really good AI and it only had 6 fingers instead of 5?
No, you'd have to go down a digit. It'd have to be 4 fingers.
It'd have to be 4.
3 fingers and a thumb.
I don't believe in anything more than 5 digits. No, 4.
I mean, I don't know. I understand people's hesitation to believe anything, hesitation to, excuse me, that we've even been to the moon the first time. That one's a little bit far fetched, and then somehow lost the technology.
We lost
And
it.
the guy who wasn't it like the guy who designed the freaking lunar capsule didn't even know how to like close it or open it or something like that? It was
Yeah,
like a video
there was a
and
video about that where that was an old video though. I'm surprised you've seen that.
right.
And it's not referenced a lot in a lot of conspiracy shows or topics. It's like that lost piece of evidence, but every once in a while someone brings it up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember who the guy actually was, but yeah, there was some big guy that couldn't do something, and he was I don't know if he was the creator of it or what his actual position was, but it's pretty odd. I
I think it
haven't
was something like he couldn't figure out how to open the emergency escape hatch. Like he had never seen it before and was just winging it on camera. And he's just like, oh, maybe it opens this way. And it's just like, it was very strange. Like, I mean, I know things like any government agency, because NASA is in fact a government agency, is compartmentalized, right? So not everybody knows everything because you don't need to, right? The electricians are worried about the electronics. The people that are worried about the water filtration are worried about the water filtration, mechanics are worried about mechanical things. I mean, it is what it is. But I think at some level of NASA, there has to be some like, I don't know, some familiarity between all the systems, like a basic understanding. I mean, shoot, we had to do that in the Navy. That's what our plane captain was. Basic understanding of all the systems.
we
That
knew how
when
to
you were
open the
doing
hatch.
it, yeah, you had to open the windows and the doors. So that when you were doing inspection, you can see if something was obviously wrong, it would stand out to you, right? That was kind of the basic gist of it. Not that you're then going to go fix it. You're going to get the designated work center to fix it, but that when you're doing inspection, if something was obviously flawed or defective, it would jump out at you. And I think that, and I'm not saying that, because I mean, looking at this screen, there's wires hanging all over the place, just waiting to snatch these people up. But I'm not saying that some like top NASA scientists should be expected to know, once you take all the soundproofing panels away, what every wire does or where it goes to, or, has access to all the wiring diagrams, but at least know how the hatch opens. you something basic like what are the windows made of, or something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, is it righty tighty or lefty loosey? What are we doing here with doors over at NASA? So it's like, I mean, I don't know, there's definitely been some weird stuff within NASA, not to mention the entirety of the federal government has just been, it seems, lies upon lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. Like even getting into the UFO disclosure, right? The 46 videos or whatever it is. For so long, it was, there are no UFOs. It's all baloney. There's none of this stuff. And then suddenly they get pinched hard enough and they're like, okay, fine, here you go. And it's just like, more lies. It's like, how are we supposed to believe this after so many decades of lies after lies after lies after lies, regardless of why those lies were there? Whether it was the interest of national security, it was the interest of, third parties, like, well, this mission apparently is all done up by Northrop Grumman, or Lockheed or whatever, Raytheon. Whatever the lie was protecting, regardless, it was still a falsehood. And so after so many of them, it's hard to then get really invested in the same way with the UFO disclosures or this, going circling around the moon. I don't even think they're going to land on the moon. They're just going around it or whatever, right?
They're just going
So
around it. Yeah.
it's just like, it's gonna be really hard to get super into it because there seems to always be some layer of BS, regardless of what's going on, regardless of how simple the disclosure is or how, large the disclosure is or voluminous or whatever, intense in depth the disclosure is or whatever the scientific research is, there always to be some layer of BS just somewhere inside the mix of everything. And it's like, where is it with this, right? Like, I don't know. As far as we know, now, I mean, we have telescopes and stuff, satellites that we've shot out into space and everything like that, that have taken pictures. I don't know if there's been any pictures of the dark side of the moon from like any of the satellites that have gone by or anything like that, or gone out into deep space, turned around and taken a picture. But it's like, what if they see, um it'd be interesting if they see something they didn't expect, and then their automatic response is like, "Oh, the camera malfunctioned. We weren't able to get images from the dark side of the moon," you know?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we get. No, there's a malfunction, but nobody snapped it with their cell phone either.
Yeah, this guy that's taking a selfie with his cell phone, he just whipped out of his back pocket. Not even him. Like, no one got a picture because of, frequencies.
They're still posting on Instagram, but they didn't take a
Yeah,
picture of the
right.
backside of the moon.
So I don't know. It remains to be seen. I think they said something like it was like the whole trip was like a 10-day trip. If you scroll down here again on nasa.gov/live, they have their upcoming events. So let me share this screen with everybody. So it looks like on Saturday, April 4th, I'm going to read this out for people that don't watch us video wise, they just listen. Daily news conference on Artemis II. It's gonna be streamed on YouTube. So this is their like official YouTube channel. Sunday, April 5th, daily news conference. Monday, April 6th, official NASA broadcast of the Artemis II flight around the moon. Stream on YouTube, Amazon Prime, Peacock, Netflix, and NASA Plus. Tuesday, April 7th, daily news conference on Artemis II. Wednesday, April 8th, launch coverage of NASA's Northrop Grumman CRS-24 mission to the International Space Station, launch scheduled for 8:49 a.m. Stream on YouTube and NASA Plus. 3:30 p.m. that same day, daily news conference with Artemis II. Thursday, April 9th, another news conference. Friday, April 10th, coverage of the rendezvous and capture of NASA's Northrop Grumman CRS-24 mission to the International Space Station. Capture scheduled for 1:10 p.m. While NASA programming is free, obtaining it through third-party streaming services may require equipment purchases or subscription fees. So yeah, a lot of it's just going to be streamed on YouTube. So if you don't want to get a subscription to, Amazon Prime or whatever, you can just do that, or Peacock or Netflix or whatever. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take a picture of this and then tune in for these times, because especially when they're going around the moon, it looks like, it looks like on Monday, April 6th, they'll be going around the moon. So like to definitely see what that looks like. And that would be the time for the conspiracy theorists to tune in and see if there's any, and I'm not saying that I'm outside of the realm of this. I'm not making fun of anybody, but if you're looking for anomalies within the footage, that would be the time to be watching. And that is at, scheduled for 1 p.m. I'm not certain the time zone,
Probably Eastern.
but
Usually it's Eastern.
Eastern. Okay.
Yeah, typically. So I want to make a correction here. There are actually many high-resolution images of the far side of the moon.
Are they real?
That's to be determined. Right? It's up to your own personal beliefs on this. But according to the Google box, the first images of the far side were captured by the Soviet Luna 3 spacecraft in 1959. So there are. Let's see, modern missions such as NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, and China's Chang'e 4, which landed on the far side in 2019. Yeah. So there are photos. I don't really know, what the purpose of getting a high. I mean, I guess it's something that we do rarely see. We never sent. This is gonna be the first time that we've ever sent people to the far side of the moon. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, it'd be different if they were landing on it. I know it's like super cold or whatever, but it'd be different if they were landing on it. This looks like a distraction to me. The more I look into it, because I know Trump's been talking about definitely doing some massive budget cuts for NASA and things like that. And then suddenly they're like, "Oh, we're gonna plan a mission to the moon. Oh, look at this! We're not gonna go all out and land on
can't
it or
cut
do
us."
anything. Yeah, or do anything of like any notable greatness. We're not gonna bring back samples. We're not gonna, look for precious metals on the surface of the moon. We're not gonna do any of that stuff. But we're gonna fly around it, just randomly. And it seemed like it was so hastily done that it wasn't even really put out all that much.
I honestly didn't hear about it for a while, and I stay pretty close to the news, man. It's yeah.
This seems like it's just oh hey, look what we can do. We can go back to the moon, and it's just like, yeah, well, not really. He's not landing on it and getting off of it again or for the first time or whatever, right? This seems like yeah.
Here we go. Artemis II is a crewed flight test. The first time the Orion spacecraft is being pushed to its limits with actual people inside. This is a non-negotiable step before we attempt a landing on Artemis 3. Interesting. Anyways, you got anything else, bud?
No. Just I understand. I understand where people are coming from when they're they think this is all fake. But yeah, I'll have to tune in to YouTube.
Or to
see
Infinite
what they're
Rabbit Hole.
saying. Are we gonna live stream it on Infinite Rabbit Hole?
Oh, hell no. But we'll report on it. Yeah. We'll report on it days late, just like we do everything else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be so far late. Like, honestly, there could be, they go around the other side and there could be a whole alien civilization right there. And then everyone's going to know and then we'll report on it days later. And then everyone's going to be like, yeah, dude, we know this. And be like, oh, well, did you know that they were green? It's like, yeah, we saw that. Oh, okay.
We'll record it on a Friday and give it to you on a Tuesday.
It's way late.
and then the news will pop on like Sunday, 2 days before the episode gets posted, and then we'll record that information for you on the following Friday.
Man, what's the catch? It sounds too good, honestly.
Sounds like we suck. All right, ready for the outro, bud?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, that's it for tonight's episode. We ran through our quick hits, a commercial pilot reporting a flying disc to air traffic control over Philadelphia on tape. In her own words, 2 independent witnesses reporting a large bipedal figure crossing the same South Carolina highway days apart. Ancient cave paintings of Tasmanian tigers and devils found on the Australian mainland, thousands of miles from where they were supposed to have existed. Levitating time crystals made of styrofoam beads that appear to violate Newton's third law of motion. And a silicone-based quantum computer performing logical operations for the first time in history. Published in Nature Nanotechnology. In Briefing 1, we covered the Congressional deadline bearing down on the Pentagon. 46 specific classified UAP videos, named, dated, and described, demanded by the House Oversight Task Force by April 14th. Lake Huron shoot-down footage, Iran formation, Syrian accelerations, objects diving near U.S. submarines, Arrow called less than adequate. 2,000 open investigations and no annual report in over a year. Something happens on April 14th. Stay tuned in the upcoming weeks for our follow-up report on this topic. In briefing 2, we went to Mars, Perseverance finding nickel concentrations in an ancient riverbed that matched the chemical signature of anaerobic microbial life on Earth. Microbial life on early Earth, co-located with organic matter in rock over 3 billion years old, and a separate team explaining exactly how Mars lost its water centered around localized dust storms, blasting vapor into the upper atmosphere, where solar radiation splits it apart, and the hydrogen bleeds into space forever. The rocks that might answer the question of Martian life are sitting in the sealed tubes on the surface right now, and the mission to bring them home was just canceled. And in tonight's deep dive, we went inside the conspiracy community watching Artemis II, the fake moon landing believers for whom no footage can settle the question, the dark side theorists waiting for the far side photographs, the flat earthers watching for firmament contact, and the broader, more serious question of where the line is between healthy skepticism of official narratives and belief systems that have become unfalsifiable. The crew reaches the moon on April 6th. We'll have more to say about what they find in upcoming weeks. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, please subscribe to Infinite Rabbit Hole wherever you get your podcasts, leaving us a rating and review if you it genuinely helps more people find the show. You can find us on infiniterabbithole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And if you've been watching on YouTube tonight, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. One more time, I'll be at CapCon on Saturday, May 9th in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin at the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center. Use code RABBITHOLE at checkout for 10% off your tickets. Link is in our recent social post. We're back next week with another deep dive into the unexplained. And until then, keep your eyes open, keep asking questions, and remember, the truth is out there. You just have to know where to look. I'm Jeremy Sosha, and we'll see you at the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. If you're looking for more of our stuff, head on over to infiniterabbithole.com, where you can find links to all the podcast players that we are available on, and even our video platforms such as TikTok and YouTube. While you're there, make sure to check out all the links for our socials and hit that follow so you know when all the new stuff from our podcast comes out. And until next time, travelers, we'll see you right here in the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Bye.